is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show. Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
The Dallas Cowboys select Michael Parsons. Woo!
And now, your hosts, Brian Broaddus, Kyle Yeomans, and David Hellman.
It's Thursday, April the 21st. The 2022 NFL Draft is exactly a week away, and we are here to get you through the home stretch. We're throwing change-ups, Brian Broaddus. I'm David Hellman, joined by Brian. That's about the only consistent thing. Kyle Yeomans is out again. He got stranded in Cancun, poor guy.
Oh,
and to fill in...
That's what you get for taking vacations during the draft.
I've never felt guiltier in my life than when I tried to have time to myself when I worked with you. Good for you, Kyle. Don't listen to this old crusty.
Nah, we're fighting for our damn lives here right now, but don't worry about that.
The smarmy voice that you heard just now was Bobby Belt.
Hi.
With Jeffrey Kavanaugh departing and Kyle on an extended vacay. Bobby's here. Bobby, you're going to be with us not just today and not just Tuesday, but for all 3 days of the NFL Draft.
Here to make your life hell. That's what I'm here for, Dave.
Is it my life that's hell, or when you found out that you had to get deep into the weeds
when I
on
found out I
draft
had to get day
analysis?
3, it was like, okay, well, get started.
You spend all spring thinking you didn't really need to be that in tune with it.
No. Just need to follow, like, who are the visits that look like they're day 3 guys? And then you're sitting here and go, oh, crap. Okay, I actually got to know who,
That's a lot of fun.
the 7th round punter from Nevada is or whatever.
I would never ask you to watch a punter.
No, fifth round. Get ready for that. Yeah, 5th round kicker.
We're thrilled to have you. I'm looking forward to the draft.
Thrilled,
I
Dave.
am too. I think the thing
This
that
is my thrilled voice.
I think that the thing I'm looking forward to is like the coverage is always what it is, and I think it's outstanding, and the opportunities that we get on this platform, our partnership, like say myself with 105.3 and with the Dallas Cowboys, I think is when we do this, I think we do this the absolute right way, and to be in the building, to have the actual draft going on just up the hall from you, there's always that buzz, that excitement, and I think this is a draft. I'm not going to say it's chaos, but with teams with multiple first-round picks, teams may be interested in getting out of those multiple picks. There may be some teams that think about going up. There may be some teams like, man, maybe the price of poker. I know Bobby's been on with us as our insider at 105.3 talking about what's the price. Is the price steep? If the price isn't steep, maybe you will see some teams be aggressively try and go get some of these players and kind of take this draft in another direction.
That is 100% what I want to talk about. This is going to be like our last normal formatted draft show because we're going to do a mock draft on Tuesday. We're going to take you through all the Cowboys picks. But today, and there's no real way to do it because it's completely unpredictable as always. But I want to try to get our hands around the type of chaos that we might expect a week from tonight. And I'll just add in, of course, we don't know what's going to happen, but Deebo Samuel decided to throw his hat in the ring and request a trade yesterday. And so do I think that'll happen between now and the end of the first round? Not really, but with what we've seen this offseason, I think you at least have to prepare for that being part of the narrative, right?
I mean, this has been the most wild offseason in terms of just moving players, and it's stunning the way the NFL has changed in that, like, players are genuinely able to, in a way that they never could before, kind of like dictate the terms of like, I want to get out of here. Like it's becoming much more like the NBA and sort of just being able to dictate where you want to go. I mean, Tyreek Hill, for instance, not just getting out of there, but getting to choose where he went. And so, I mean, maybe eventually Deebo gets his way. I think it's hard to imagine that it gets done here in the next week before anything, goes down with the draft, but throws a wrench into a lot of plans, I think. But I mean, that'd be great. You get Deebo moved for a receiver, might change things up, make some guys fall to you.
You know what? We were kind of going through, and the NFL.com had this where they listed like 10 teams that could use Deebo Samuel. Everybody can use Deebo Samuel.
It should be 32.
But the teams that might go and might trade. Okay, if just looking at the draft, the perspective of the draft, The first wide receiver that we tend to take off the board is with the Jets at 10, right?
Yes.
Okay, see, there you go. I mean,
Maybe Atlanta at 8, depending on.
Okay,
obviously
Atlanta at
they
8,
need
yeah,
everything.
Yeah,
but
Atlanta at 8. There you go. But it seemed like that every mock draft had a wide receiver at 10 going to the Jets.
Yes.
That seemed to be the common.
London has been penciled into that 10 pick for
The
months.
first wide receiver every time has been at that spot, generally with the Jets. So maybe the Jets, the team. Robert Saleh, the head coach of the Jets, former 49er defensive coordinator. You have a general manager there that has a couple of first-round picks. He needs to make a splash. They need to start finding ways to win games, the Jets. They need to help their quarterback. Does Deebo Samuel help their quarterback more than, say, it's like Wilson getting drafted at 10 or something like that? That's the determination that some of these teams need to make. And I think that's why there's actually going to be a market. If San Francisco, and talking to their guys yesterday, they were kind of taking everything in about this whole thing, with Deebo. So to me, if you're the Jets, if you're the 49ers, maybe that's where this thing starts. Maybe it's like, hey, the head coach has familiarity with the player. There's a desperate general manager to keep his job. You make a big swing like this to go get that type of a player. It's much better to have that guy than to have a guy that kind of is a little bit of the unknown right now.
If Devontae Adams goes for like a pick in the 20s, though, and then gets a big deal, does Deebo pull in pick 10?
I think you got to look at the team. And
I mean, Salah's got the San Francisco connection, and
that's what I'm saying.
Else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To me, there are things that can kind of, with teams with multiple picks, can play in this game. Philadelphia can play in this game if they want to. Just look at the teams with the multiple picks and look at the weapons that they might need. Is taking one of these wide receivers, taking on my board, taking Jamison Williams, at 10. Better than trading for Deebo Samuel. I mean, yeah, you have to pay Deebo Samuel and all that, but you've also got a young quarterback that is struggling his ass off right now.
I think you could get pick 10 for Deebo. It might be all you get. The Packers got back a 1 and a 2. I think if the Jets are willing to give up 10, that might be the only thing they're willing to give up. But he just turned 26.
Jets got multiple second-round picks too.
And
they got Seattle's pick, I believe, at 38.
They have, we
35,
talked about
38,
this Tuesday.
yeah.
Is Deebo but if you're trying to be like, we talk about, being Dak friendly here, right? Like, is that the most as big a stud as he is that the most friendly type of player that you can get for Zach Wilson? Because that you get creative with Deebo Samuel, but it's not necessarily like do you need just a crisp route runner? Like, I feel like if you were going to go out and make that move for Devontae Adams or something like that, who's such a clean route runner and gives you the open windows and everything else like that, that's not really Deebo. Deebo's a weapon, and you got to get creative in ways to get him the ball. I just don't know that that's the friendliest receiver and that you'd be willing to sacrifice pick 10.
Yeah,
if you're the Jets.
I mean, you're absolutely right about the thought about him maybe not being the cleanest of the wide receivers. But if you talk to most defensive coordinators around the league, I guarantee you they would say that he's a pain in the ass to have to
100%.
prepare for.
Yeah.
And that's the Jets. You're looking for weapons. You've got multiple picks, in the second round. If you want to address the wide receiver position again, at 35, 38 or whenever, those picks are, to me, I'm about, if I'm the general manager at the Jets, I am trying to help my quarterback because I'm going to lose my job if that guy doesn't succeed.
What costs you more? Or do you think it's a similar price if you wanted to go get A.J. Brown?
Oh, God.
Or is A.J. Brown more like pick 35 if you're the Jets?
A.J. Brown,
A.J.'s not Deebo. Deebo's a better player.
And
how about
the injury
Metcalf?
History, too. Like, he's missed time. Like,
Sure.
he has been in and out of the lineup.
Sure, but if you can get A.J. Brown for a second and change, is that better than Deebo for pick 10?
Yes, I think.
So there you go. Because A.J. Brown's unhappy, too.
And that's I wonder how likely it is that this comes to fruition. And again, it's draft week. Like, Brian, how this goes. Like, all these teams, and people are so curious about the Cowboys. Debo liked to tweet about playing for Dallas. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys are sitting up there like, we'll just find the next Debo.
Yeah.
Debo was a second-round pick. We'll just go draft him and not have to pay him any money.
The one
for 4
thing you
years.
have to know about the Dallas Cowboys is they have a history under Jerry Jones of going to get receivers. They do have a history
Spending
of that.
the capital to do it.
Whether you like it or not, I mean, we were idiots for what we did for Joey Galloway. idiot move for there. That was a terrible move. You got to look at what they did for Roy Williams from Detroit. Look what they did for Amari Cooper.
Look what they did for Dez.
Look
what they did. They used a pick on CD, high capital there. So, I mean, they definitely will go do it.
Yeah.
Other than Debo, I also just I'm curious about the possibility for movement in this draft. Again,
overall,
you talk about teams with multiple picks, and we've also talked about, and Bobby, you can speak to this, maybe the price isn't as high as it normally would be. You see teams like the Saints have moved up higher into the middle of the draft. People wonder what they're doing. Maybe
I think they're going to move again.
I do too. And do you think it'll be easier to do that? And do you think we'll see more movement because maybe the price isn't as high?
So that's the problem, is that right now it's like everything I've heard from people, and Peter King kind of wrote about this the other day, it's so much more of a buyer's market than I feel like it has been in years past. Everybody wants to go back. And like Steven the other day on the station was talking about how, this is such a deep draft, and that seems to be a lot of the chatter, is that, man, you might be able to find somebody in the 6th round who you have a 3rd round grade on, or, you're going to find a lot more draftable players in the 7th potentially than you had. And so this thing goes deep because of the COVID year and all the guys that returned back.
Yeah, exactly.
And so because of that, there's a lot of people that would like to move back, pick up capital. So if you're a team like Dallas, for instance, because, we're Cowboys here, just narrow it down to them. If you're a team like Dallas and you can get up, to, this is steep, but if you get up to 6, Carolina, who doesn't have a single pick after 6 until, 137. That's their next pick.
Y'all keep bringing up 6.
I'm just saying.
Keep talking about it.
If you go up to 6.
What do you know, Bobby?
If you go up to 6, let's say you give up 2, you give up your 24, your 2, and your 4. Typically, I don't think that would get it done. But this is a draft. This is a draft similar where I think you could.
That would be wild.
It would.
That's
and then even if you don't
jump.
have the 2nd pick, if you go up to 6, you ensure you get one of these offensive linemen, Cross, Neal, whoever, and then you think the receiver class goes deep, which it does. Steven said that. You get a receiver in the 3rd round. I think I'd take Cross and whoever you get in the 3rd.
Man, I tell you what, I think you open yourself up to, and people aren't going to like to hear this, but it might be the best player on a lot of people's board. It might be open you up to maybe getting Sauce Gardner at 6.
I love him.
See, that's what I'm saying. I know there's people that are pulling their hair out right now and saying, well, damn it, Brian, they can't block. Why are we doing this? Why not go get the tackle? But I think at 6, you're opening yourself up to that tackle. You might be opening yourself up to the best defensive end in the draft, too, with Thibodeau. You might really be.
Now that's more exciting to me, honestly. No disrespect
you might be
to
looking at the tackle, the defensive end, and the corner all there if you want to go that route.
But for a team that wants, I think, from everybody we've talked to, a team that wants to get tougher, a team that wants, to bring in a group of young leaders, stronger leadership, do you want to take the guy that potentially has maturity questions? Is that something you want to risk?
Which one? With
Thibodeau. Yeah.
I think the maturity questions with him and people I'm talking about is more about him and the brand.
He's emotional. He's emotional too. I brought that up yesterday with you guys.
Yeah.
Is that there were at least 2, I think 3 instances when you talk to people over at Oregon. There were 2 or 3 instances this season where he said, well, I'm opting out.
Yeah.
He gets hurt. He said, I'm opting out. He gets emotional about it. They lose to Stanford. I'm opting out.
Yeah.
Like that's, he gets very emotional and reactive. And I think coupled with the brand, it makes him a little bit more of, I think, a question in terms of a culture fit than Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson. And that's why you see people, I think, talking about them above him.
So with the discussions or things that you sound like to me you would lean, if you're going for 6, you're going for the tackle.
Yeah, I'd go Neal, Cross, whoever's the top offensive lineman there.
Answer me this, and I get that drafts are about way more than right now, and I understand, ideally Cross or Iquanu would be starting for you for a decade. Mm-hmm. But that deal, the one that you just described, you get 6, and you lose 56, and you lose 129, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got 6 and 88. And that pick,
but you got all those 5s that you could parlay into maybe getting back in the 3rd if you want to do something like that.
All right, or maybe you can parlay a 5th for a veteran, because that's what I was about to say. That doesn't address the issue at guard. That doesn't.
I was hoping.
Make me feel a whole hell of a lot better about that.
You don't think you could just slide somebody in to play guard for a year?
I think you could. I don't know how it's going to look. I mean, we've already.
Penning. I don't think you have to go up to 6 to get Trevor Penning, for instance.
Oh, so you're talking about playing the tackle.
I'm talking about playing the tackle at guard for a year. They did it with Lyle. They didn't plan to do it with Lyle, but they did it with Lyle.
See, to me, if I'm going to get Cross, but they might get Penning. They might like Penning just as much and play him at guard, and then kick him out to make him play left tackle when Tyron Smith gets dinged up.
And I think that's honestly, and we're talking about trading up, but I think that's honestly why you hear so much buzz about 24 with Kenyan Green.
Yeah.
Is because they clearly love being able to have contingencies in place, period. So if they can draft a player who is a built-in contingency for, well, look, we can draft him, we can play him at left guard, and then next year, if Tyron's not here, which, I mean, Tyron's getting, this is year 11, 12 coming up? Gosh.
How?
So when you look at that and say, okay, well, if Tyron's not here after next year, if the tackle class is good, great. We can draft a tackle, keep Green there. But if we have the flexibility to go, this is a great guard class, and we're looking at a great guard here at our pick in 2023, well, Kenyan Green, look, we just saw him, pretty much stonewall Will Anderson, who's going to be a top 5 pick next year from Alabama, and played left tackle really well and has shown the willingness to do it. I think that's one of the reasons for the intrigue with Green.
See, it's funny, my gang of 7, and like 4 of my guys have gotten back to me. Every one of those guys have liked Zion Johnson better than Green.
It's up here with him. They love it.
They love the mental. They love the mental. We had Jim Nagy on from the Senior Bowl yesterday on our show on 105.3 The Fan, and Jim was talking. Man, he goes, "Listen, I understand bias. I had the guy here, but the fact that they've talked about playing him at center even and how smart he is and stuff like that.
There's a lot of talk about him.
There's a lot.
It doesn't sound like people think it's just something he can kind of do
4 guys
extra.
4 guys that got back to me yesterday. 3 of them had Zion Johnson. I said, "Who's better? Who do you like better?" 3 took Johnson, 1 took Green, and they were talking about Green's toughness. But every one of these guys now are talking about. Every one of them now are talking about the smarts when you get with Zion Johnson.
You feel what's our read on a trade back? I feel like we haven't. I'm wearing my captain trade down shirt today.
Yeah, you are.
Again, it's a buyer's market, so I think it's tough because I don't know that you got a lot of people that want to come up right now. That's the problem. And who
maybe for one of the last quarterbacks?
If you look at some of the people, like the obvious trade back scenarios, you're looking at who immediately behind you. You've got like Green Bay, who's picking twice in the first round already. Kansas City, who's picking twice in the first round. Detroit, picking twice in the first round and then early in the second. These teams in the early second round, Jets, Giants, they've already got their multiple. I don't know that they feel they'll need to move up to get anybody because they've got so much capital in the top 50.
Well, the thing you have to worry about moving back, or if you want to move back, is you mentioned Green Bay, Kansas City, maybe 2 teams that are hunting a wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Green Bay's a team that traditionally it's not in their DNA to take a wide receiver. But, we've seen some
mock... eventually have to, right?
Yeah, we've seen some mock drafts where, with Lance Zierlein, who I have a lot of respect for Lance Zierlein.
He does great work.
He had Kansas City trading with Arizona to go ahead of Dallas in case Chris Olave was there. The fact that they know that Dallas had Chris Olave in the building. Say Burks is gone and maybe Dallas has lost one of those offensive guards along the way. Then maybe it's like, well, wait, Chris Olave. They've got Kansas City jumping ahead of Dallas. That would be something that you absolutely have to be worried about. One of those teams coming. I think Kansas City is the most aggressive team coming from the back of the board that you have to worry about.
If you get jumped and you lose some of these people, Johnson, Green, guys like that, the receivers aren't there. Has there been enough discussion either about a trade back option or as a wipeout scenario at 24, the fact that a guy that they brought in here, Bernard Raymond, at Central Michigan, do we, even though that might feel a little rich to some people, I don't think Bernard Raymond's getting you to 56 for you.
No, he's not.
And so that's got to be either a trade back candidate or somebody that they at least are curious about at 24.
His reaction just told you the story of maybe every Cowboy fan.
Well,
it's a tackle, and is it really?
It's a guy who wasn't a tackle 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's the 5th best tackle.
He's really impressive, man. Like
he moves really well.
And he just started playing tackle 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I get it. It just, from what I've heard and from
sounds like a project, doesn't it?
From what I've heard and from what I know, that sounds awfully rich. And that's not me.
Yeah.
That's me telling you what I think they think.
But see, that's what happens to you when you're at the bottom of the board. You're not going to get these guys coming back on the 56.
Right.
So, you almost have to, when you get down to the bottom, you almost have to draft a round early because you're not going to get these guys.
But see, and we've talked about this before, and that's a nice way of saying window dressing your board.
Yeah.
That's a nice way of saying, like, well, we can't get this guy next round, so let's draft him way sooner than we're supposed to.
Well, but that's almost something you have to think about, too. because you're thinking, okay, what's the player that's going to be there at 56?
What if you got? You'd have to go back a little. I'm just looking at the board here. The points pretty much match up. 24, Houston. If Houston wanted to come up and get somebody from 37, and then they've got 2 third-rounders, they gave you 80. So 37 and 80. And then maybe that's where you look at Raymond then if you get wiped out.
Okay, let me ask David this question because he's with the .com site.
Dave's face says no.
No, well, I'm just. That doesn't sound like enough. But again, it's a bad market for trading.
You look at the trade chart here: 530 on Houston, 190. That gets you.
Real quick, before you ask me this, I would rather drop down, and obviously somebody's got to be willing to do it. But I would rather drop down to like 30 or 31, and even if all I add is like a 4th round pick. I'd rather do that.
Are you trying to hold your option?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's...
What's Cincinnati coming up for, though?
No, I know.
Or Kansas City. That's the problem.
Well, Kansas City's your team.
Kansas
City's your team. Kansas City's your team. If you want it, to me, Kansas City's your team if you want to trade. Because they picked up draft capital in the deal for their wide receiver.
Yeah, give me...
And Miami draft capital to boot.
If Kansas City was willing to give me 135 to drop down to pick 30, I would do it. It doesn't sound like a whole lot of compensation.
Who are we trading away from?
This is in a scenario where you kind of get wiped out. Like your 2 guards are gone, and maybe you don't like the receivers as much as we think they do. Like
sure.
Maybe they would in the right circumstance. I don't get the impression that they would like run to turn their card in for Burks at 24. I don't know if they would.
I don't think they'd run, but I think they'd be satisfied if the board looked a certain way.
Yeah, if that was their best option, they might do it.
I think they'd feel comfortable enough if there are certain play. Like I think the lean right here obviously is offensive line. Like Jerry has told you that specifically.
Yeah.
I think that if they get wiped out on certain offensive linemen, and I think they would feel comfortable turning it out. Like you said, I don't know if they're running it up there.
Yeah.
But I think they'd feel good about it.
If the guards were gone. Mm-hmm. Do you think they would trade away from him if somebody made an offer? And I know we don't know if there would be an offer.
I mean, depends on how the board stack. Because I think they do like some other players that don't necessarily fit in it, like corner, right? Like I think they like some of the corners that could potentially be there. So do they look at it and say, well, we've got Burks here and some of the corners do. They get in a scenario like they did when they traded out of 10, and they said, all right, well, Slater or Parsons will be there, and we like both of them.
Yeah.
So we'll get one of them. So do they look at it and go, Burks and a couple other guys we know somebody will be there? Then sure, let's go do it.
I'm not sure going all the way to 37 just to pick up 80 is the right play.
It doesn't sound like enough
points
for
match,
that big of a
points
drop.
match up.
Points match, but it's just right now
such a far drop and not a lot of return.
But I'm just saying who we falling for.
That's what I'm saying. If you get wiped out and you go, we need a lineman, and you feel better about picking Raymond at 37.
That might be the best deal they could get, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Because it happened with Travis Frederick. They were there. They were sitting there, at 18 and bailed all the way.
They only got a third for dropping 13 spots in the first round.
Yeah. Which is 13 spots.
Yeah.
I get that the math works out. That
don't seem to get it, Dave.
I get it, Bobby. It just sounds like a free fall. And that is a far enough drop that you could.
But if you are dead set on you need a lineman and you get wiped out,
yourself out of like the next round of guys you like by dropping back.
But if you're dead set on a lineman, right? Like you just we got to fix this offensive line. Do you feel better about just taking Raymond at 24 or saying let's move back to 37 and get Raymond and pick up a third?
Yeah, I hear you. I just don't like it. I get the logic. Did you have anything else, or should I go to break?
Go to break.
All right, we'll be right back. We got your questions coming up in the second segment. Stick with us.
This is Chad Hennings, former Cowboy and proud veteran of the United States Air Force. When my fellow military veterans choose VA, they receive life-changing benefits from the Department of Veterans Affairs. If you are a veteran, you may be eligible for healthcare, education, and training benefits, a home loan guarantee, housing assistance, and more. Choose VA for the benefits you've earned. Visit choose.va.gov to learn more. That's choose.va.gov.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Hey, Cowboys fans, if you're thinking about attending a game this season, visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today. Stay at the team hotel, have dinner with a Cowboys legend, and experience AT&T Stadium's exclusive VIP Owners Club. Also, tour the Star, get autographs from your favorite players, and talk X's and O's with me, Mickey Spagnola. The official travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys will take care of all your travel needs. Visit cowboystravel.com.
If you have been thinking about weight loss surgery, My Bariatric Solutions has made it easier for you to schedule your initial consultation from the safety, comfort, and convenience of your own home. You'll meet one-on-one with the bariatric surgeon over a private and secure video call. You'll learn everything you need to know about the options available and which procedure is best for you. If you've been considering weight loss surgery and are ready to take the first step, call My Bariatric Solutions today at 844-326-6266. That's 844-326-6266, or go to mybariatricsolutions.com.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Welcome back to the Draft Show, presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's also presented by Liberty Tax.
Yeah.
Tax season's officially over, but Liberty Tax has services to offer you all year round. To learn more about their great services, visit libertytax.com/radio. We are here in the second segment. As always, that is when we take your questions. Kev is on the board today. Kev, can you hit me with that beautiful sound? That one right there.
Kevin's already way ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's true.
By the way, your Liberty Tax read last week is what reminded me. I haven't done my taxes yet.
You've done them now, right?
I did them when I heard you read. I immediately opened my laptop.
Please do your taxes, everyone. It's very, I'm not going to say it's easy, but you need to do it. Yeah, let's all stay in the IRS's good graces. Jake wants to know, if there is a linebacker that you love in this draft, we'll keep it like top 100 type of players. It could any of those rounds, first 3 rounds. A linebacker that you think specifically would pair really well with Micah Parsons.
The kid from Utah would, Lloyd, because you're talking about a guy that's long, rangy, makes plays, finisher, rush the passer. You know, all the things about him that you would love in Micah Parsons, you would love in Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, I mean, I like Christian Harris. He's somebody that from Alabama, and that's not somebody you'd have to go get in the first round, I don't think.
No.
I mean, does he get all the way to you at 56? Maybe not.
He does not really. He doesn't get lumped in like when you're talking about obviously Lloyd and Dean, but like the other Georgia kids, like he doesn't ever get lumped into that group.
No. Quay Walker's another one I would look at too. I mean, you're talking about, again, a guy that's 6'4", 241 pounds. All those Georgia players, you mentioned them, they all run. It's a fight to see who gets the ball first, with that crew. So, I think this is actually a pretty good, when you look at the depth of the linebacker spot, there's obviously some problems, with Dean as far as the length and things like that. But, I mean, he makes just every single tackle. So I don't know how some of these. There used to be a time 20 years ago doing this that, he's too short, he's too this, too that. Dallas has actually a really good history playing with smaller linebackers.
Baby.
Dat Wynn, Dexter Coakley.
Yep.
I mean, there's some guys. Bill Parcells came in here and was like, he was adamant that they had to get rid of Dat Wynn and Dexter Coakley. And by the time he saw them play, he was like, whoa, I was wrong about those two. There is a history here for these linebackers. And I think the one that makes a lot of sense for me is if you wanted to, again, a wipeout situation, whatever. If you took Lloyd, I'd have absolutely no problem with that because I know he can rush the passer and I know he can finish as a tackler.
Can he? I don't want to compare him to the guy that just won Rookie of the Year and
there's
had
a lot
case
of
for Player of the Year.
There's a lot of scouts around the league that have mentioned him, like who would be the next guy that could be the next Micah Parsons type player.
Do you think that's fair? Like he just doesn't. He doesn't seem like he has the same freaky athleticism.
I'll tell you what. You give Dan Quinn a lot of credit for playing Micah Parsons at defensive end because we would have never saw that. We never talked about. maybe Jeff.
That's why a lot of us didn't love the pick.
Yeah, Jeff and I, Jeff said, well, you see some, he could rush the passer and all that. And, you talk to people. I asked George Edwards, the linebackers coach, about this after the season. I said, George, tell me about the whole thing with Mike. And he goes, no, we had an idea that he could rush the passer. I go, there's no way you had that kind of an idea. And he goes, no, there's things that you can, when you watch him play, that you felt like that he could rush the passer. Half his sacks were at the linebacker spot, though, too.
Yep.
It wasn't like it was all at defensive end. But I just kind of feel like that there is a good crew of linebackers that you guys have been talking about here, really all draft season.
So you, and Bobby, you answer this too, but like a linebacker at 24, I don't want to call it a waste, but it doesn't seem necessary to me.
No, I mean, like, Nakobe Dean's a fun player.
Could be the best player on their board.
Would I like to have Nakobe Dean here? Sure. Like in a vacuum. Do I want to necessarily use 24 on Nakobe Dean? Not necessarily. Like, and it's such a cheat answer.
When did that change?
The linebacker I want to pair with him is Jabril Cox. That's the linebacker. And I mean, like, he'll come back and he flashed a little bit, made some good plays before he got hurt. They liked him enough that they were like, okay, let's go ahead. Let's move on from Jalen Smith. Let's not risk injury and contract guaranteeing. Yeah. Let's get this going. And so.
When did that change for everybody?
That you don't think you need a linebacker?
No, that we don't like Nakobe Dean anymore.
No, I think everybody likes Nakobe Dean.
Every year I fall in love with a player that I know they won't draft. It was Budda Baker one year.
Yeah.
I love Nakobe Dean. I just don't think they would draft him.
No, see, that's the thing about it is, though, every mock draft, it was one of those things. It's so funny with the whole thing with, and again, we had Jim Nagy, and I asked about the Walker, defensive end from Georgia. He says just the media scouts were late on that. The media scouts were late on Walker. And I'm like, man, I don't know. But, 13th best player.
You remember we talked about that.
Sure.
That everybody, whenever I'd ask anybody around the NFL about him, their words wouldn't come out when you'd ask about Trayvon Walker. The response always began with,
yeah.
Just like, whoa. And like when that starts, like, okay, they love this guy.
The media scouts were late to the game on that one then.
I think so.
Because he was always being mocked to the Cowboys at 20.
I think there's a little surge, to be honest, like up near the top, but I think he was always a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
A name that we've talked about him, but he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Aaron wants us to talk about Roger McCreary, the Auburn corner. Does he fit here? And also, where would you guess he gets drafted?
I have him in the second round, Bobby. If you want to talk about him at all, I can sure jump in as well.
I've heard him talked about as a fringe first rounder.
Yeah. And
60 guys have been talked about as fringe first rounders.
He's a 5'11", 190-pound guy.
He's got those T-Rex arms.
Yeah, man. And you can line him up.
So he's not a fit here.
28-inch arms.
Yeah. Not happening here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
good to know.
The thing about him is, though, we say this about McDuffie, though, too. We say the same thing about McDuffie, but we praise McDuffie from Washington.
McDuffie's arms are a little bit longer than that.
Well, but I'm just
not
saying.
Much.
But not. That's what I'm saying.
I think McDuffie doesn't get beat on contested catches like McCreary does. I think you routinely have seen on tape. Well, not routinely, but I think there are enough instances on tape of people mossing Roger McCreary that I would be concerned about him.
Man, you know what? I was kind of watching him, and I watched the Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, and LSU games on him, and I didn't kind of feel like – I thought he was a really good red zone player. I didn't feel like that it was one of those things that he was going to have problems.
Well, you know who's the best red zone receiver corner in the NFL is Denzel Ward, and that's a 5'9" corner.
Yeah.
And so,
He's got a lot of money.
You can do it.
Yeah. I kind of felt like that, but you're right. We haven't talked very much about him. I think he's a really good player myself.
He falls. He's one of those names that seems to fall into the range of like 24 seems too soon, and he'll be gone by 56.
Yeah.
So
I've got him.
It's not like I don't care, but it just doesn't seem like it lines up.
Of my 190 players I've done, I have him as number 48 on my board.
Okay. Patrick wants to know if you'd be interested in signing Julio Jones if the receiver cards don't fall the way you want them to in this draft. I forget that he's still out there, to be honest with you.
No. I mean, that's a guy who has had a drop off. I mean, look, they just purged a Alabama receiver that they were trying to get ahead of a fall. Like this is he's clearly starting to fall. He's never been the red zone target that I think you'd want him to be. And I mean, not that he wasn't the best receiver in the game at one point, he absolutely was. But I mean, this is a guy who deals with injuries and is not nearly the same player he was even 3 years ago.
I might be wrong about this, but if the Cowboys make a signing after the draft and they don't get the guard they want, I could see them, and maybe I'll be way wrong about this. I don't think he signed with anybody. Eric Flowers.
That's the name.
He's sitting there.
Yeah.
I think
that's a name I think they do have in their hopper.
Yep.
I think that is that, and there's at least a couple tackles out there that I think could be had.
Every one of those,
800,000.
Yeah, the JC
1.1 maybe.
The JC Treaders and guys like that are all. That sound like those guys are
Get you
kind
a
of
Philbin special.
broken down guys.
They used to do that. That used to be their thing with safety.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those safeties used to sit there until like June or July.
I mean, they've done it routinely with the offensive line. They did it with Byron Bell. They did it with Inseki. They've done this.
Byron Bell. Forgot about that name. Haven't heard that in a while.
I'll tell you what. The one hope that I have for Fowler is because of Dan Quinn. I mean, last year at this time we're talking draft. We have no idea that Dan Quinn can wave a magic wand and get guys to play better than they are.
You brought that up on Tuesday, and we were talking about Micah on our podcast, Cowboys Break, yesterday, and I was like, if I had felt absolute confidence in Dan Quinn that I do right now, I would have felt so much better about that pick.
Oh, absolutely.
On draft night.
See, that's what my guys.
I'm not convinced every coach that's ever been here would have gotten that out.
No. If you draft a defensive player here, you feel like he's going to be used the right way. You feel like that if they bring somebody in on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to be used the right way. That now is no longer. The questions are about when you talk about drafting Burks, the wide receiver from Arkansas, is he going to be used the right way? Is any of these guys going to be used the right way? I mean, because like the same, we've got questions about CeeDee Lamb right now. Is CeeDee Lamb at his absolute best level as a player?
I don't think I have questions about CD.
I
just he can take his game another step. I don't have questions.
But
about him.
But it's a question. You would thought when
I think he's closer to his ceiling than they initially thought.
Yeah.
We talked about that on the radio recently.
I've talked about that a lot. People keep screaming at me.
Yeah.
Christopher wants to know,
Robin.
He didn't say. What's that? The 100-acre wood.
It's Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh, I believe.
But the 100-acre wood is where they hang out.
Yeah, okay.
Christopher wants to know if it's
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Shut up, everybody! Shut up. If it's guard receiver, let's in this magical world,
guard receiver.
It can be any order you want. It can be guard first, receiver second. It can be receiver first, guard second. Which combo of those two players drafted 24th and 56th would make you the happiest? I like this question a lot, Christopher.
Ooh. Man. So see, because I really love
and be realistic about it.
We are.
Because it's tough.
Because I would say Jamison Williams, but I don't know if that's realistic.
Probably just because the drop off on the interior is pretty strong after you get past Green and Johnson, I feel like. Whereas receiver doesn't drop. I love Treylon Burks at Arkansas.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a stud here. But the drop off is so steep that I'd probably prefer Green and then give me at 56 Jalen Tolbert. South Alabama wide receiver.
Alabama, yep.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at just off my stack how I think it might go. I think that to me it would probably be Green and Christian Watson from North Dakota State.
Say more stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that would be I think Watson is. I think it'd be tough to get him to 56.
I mean, I've got him as my 53rd best player on my board. I was just taking my stack. I was just
trying. Do those hands scare you?
You know what? I mean, not to the point. I was like I say, I've got him as my 50. I've got guys ahead of him. See, I've got like Sky Moore ahead of him at 43.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think I'm going to have a shot at Sky Moore. I'll give you another guy I think I might have a shot at. And you tell me if you want to deal with John Minchie and the injury and stuff
I was
like that.
about to bring him up. Why?
I don't want to deal with a guy who's not going to be an
ACL.
I know. I'm not talking about like
two of those guys. Now Britt Brown's going to be up to his rear.
No, I don't,
rehabbing guys,
and he's going to have him ready.
Mechie's a good player. Yeah. I don't like Mechie enough to deal with the starting receiving core. The first 3 weeks of the season is CD, James Washington, and Noah Brown. I don't like him enough to sacrifice those first few weeks. He's okay, but it's not. You're not
3 weeks versus
It's not like
4
Jameson.
years.
Jameson's different. Jameson, I'll make that sacrifice. I'm not going to do it for Mechie.
See,
and if you want to give me Burks in the first round, since I said the guard drop off is significant, I would personally be okay with Sean Ryan, the UCLA player at guard
56.
At 56. I know a lot of other people view him more like a third. I think when you watch it, and it was at tackle. I think when you watch him go up against Kayvon Thibodeau, Thibodeau wasn't getting anything against Ryan, and they had to flip him to the other side to get that production against UCLA.
Okay, what if you went Jamison Williams and then you went Kennard
at
guard?
Does Kennard get that? I don't know that Kennard gets that far.
I mean, okay.
I don't think Williams gets that far.
Well,
I think Williams is
Kennard I got at 46. See, I'm trying to get somewhere right around 56, and I know that 46 is not 56, but I'm trying to look at my board. Okay, how about Saylor from Georgia?
Sure, Jamison,
at 56.
Yeah.
If you give me Jamison Williams,
that might be a little rich. I got him at 59.
I'm fine with that.
I got Saylor. I got Saylor the guard.
I'll take it.
I don't care.
Williams and Saylor, or the other way around. What we were talking about. Green and.
I think I was going to say Green and Pickens, or I like Watson too. But what you just said.
See, I mean,
if I can get Jamison Williams,
I can't get Pickens.
I
can't get Pickens to me. I don't think.
I think it's more realistic you get Pickens at 56 than Jamison Williams at 24.
I do too.
Yeah.
We'll see though. I don't know. Does he have inside outside flex? I don't know if he did a lot of that.
I got Pickens at 28 on my board. That's why I didn't even consider him.
Well, that's the beauty of this. More so than any other year, I think nobody agrees on any of this crap.
No.
I heard you mentioned Zerline earlier.
Yeah.
He did a podcast with Dane the other day where he was saying, I think Pickens could slide a lot further in the second than a lot of people think.
If that's the case, let's go. I mean, is it because of the injury history or something like that?
Injury history, not as much production as you would prefer. That type of stuff.
Guy's a really good player. You watch him play against those top corners. We were talking about McCrary. Watch him play against Stingley. 2 years ago. I mean, he's lighting up these corners we're all talking about in the first and second round.
No, I mean, that's why on the flip side with the guards, that's why I like Ryan so much. Just you watch what he did against tough competition.
Ryan's not a bad guy
tough competition.
Yeah, Ryan's not a bad talk about it at all.
Real quickly from Matt before we go to break. Pinky toe bet. You know what that means.
That sounds like our old buddy.
Pinky toe bet. What's the pick at 24? Don't him and haw. Don't give me a bunch of crap.
Kenyan Green.
Kenyan Green. I think.
Yeah.
Unless
there's a slider that we're not thinking about.
You can't predict it to a certainty, but like if my
you just need an answer, Kenyan Green.
If my pinky toe was on the line, that is the name that I would say.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to go to break. We got 5 more prospects to tell you about on the final edition of Tell Me More. We'll be right back after this.
Tax season is officially over, but Liberty Tax has services to offer you all year round. Aside from tax preparation, they also help with tax debt resolution. If you didn't file your taxes this year or haven't filed in a few years, we've got the solution to your tax problems. Liberty Tax offers guaranteed tax debt resolution services. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, call the professionals at Liberty Tax or visit them at libertytax.com/radio. That's libertytax.com/radio.
At Smoothie King, we are blending goodness to fuel your greatness. Every blend is crafted to help you achieve your health and fitness goals. Smoothie King uses only whole fruits and organic veggies. You'll never find sugary syrups or artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives. And unlike some other smoothie places, there are 0 grams of added sugar in many of our blends. Smoothie King is proud to be the official smoothie of the Dallas Cowboys. Place your order in the app or online for pickup or delivery. Smoothie King, rule the day.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
If you have been thinking about weight loss surgery, My Bariatric Solutions has made it easier for you to schedule your initial consultation from the safety, comfort, and convenience of your own home. You'll meet one-on-one with the bariatric surgeon over a private and secure video call. You'll learn everything you need to know about the options available and which procedure is best for you. If you've been considering weight loss surgery and are ready to take the first step, call My Bariatric Solutions today at 844-326-6266. That's 844-326-6266, or go to mybariatricsolutions.com.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Attention Cowboys fans, there's a new official razor of the Dallas Cowboys, Shave Logic. Shave Logic is proud to offer Cowboys fans a special upgrade. For a limited time, visit shavelogic.com and get a free $10 gift card with your purchase. go to shavelogic.com.
If you were to shave your beard, would you use Shave Logic?
Absolutely.
I
that
figured you
will
would.
never happen, but I would.
You guys still selling these magazines?
Yeah, we
still?
are. Throw that up for the camera.
Yeah, we're still selling those. We got some talking.
You got a
points
week left. You can get it digitally. You can get it. You could probably get it in the mail between now and Thursday.
You got Dave Hellman's mock draft in this thing, right?
Dave Hellman's mock draft that he turned in on March 15th. I think the 6 teams have changed picks since that mock draft came out. I mean, not the greatest sell job of my life, but we got all kinds of draft analysis,
Cowboys
position
top 10
breakdowns
picks at all time at each position.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
There's a lot of stuff in there, and I wish we had put Zion on the cover because the pick is on there. The pick is on the cover of that magazine, unless it's Zion.
So you're saying they're going to take the center from Iowa?
It could be Linderbaum.
Which Washington corner's on there? I can't see.
McDuffie.
McDuffie.
Okay.
Yeah. I always love the cover on that thing.
Somebody yelled at me today, and it's a good point. They drafted Jordan Lewis, which means maybe they would draft McDuffie.
I don't think they'd be opposed to McDuffie though.
I think it would just take it would take guys.
It'd have to fight at the right. It'd have to fall at the right point. But I think they're comfortable with the way McDuffie uses his length.
Yeah. All right. I teased it already. It's time for one last edition of Tell Me More. I love this. I texted Bobby and I was like, do I hear right that you're on the show? He's like, yeah. I'm like, cool. Here's 5 day 3 prospects I need you to watch by tomorrow morning.
At 1:47, I was done with the last one.
I was done at 1:32.
Yeah.
I went to bed at midnight, so good for y'all. Way to be dedicated. Let's start off, since I know Bobby likes this guy.
Oh, no. Don't make me die on a hill here.
We'll start off with Isaac Taylor. Isaac. Thought it said Isaiah. I'm sorry.
You sound like me doing this.
Isaac Taylor Stewart, the cornerback out of USC. Fight on.
Fight on.
So I'm scared, because after I watched him,
You
I was
like
like,
this
this is a good player.
That's okay.
And I was like, I looked around, I was like, surely everybody else has it, but I was like, he's telling me more. So not everybody, and I looked and I was like, Dane has him in the 6th. Zerline has him in the 6th. I'm going to be on an island here. So when I watched him, and really great size and athleticism, he's 6'1.5", 201 pounds. He was a 4.42 40 guy, 1.47 on the 10-yard split. The short area quickness is really, really good with him. So really good athlete, but I saw a guy that I kept hearing how raw he was from people, and I thought he had pretty good natural instincts. Like he had a good feel. I thought he was a lot better impressed than playing off.
Yeah, which he does a lot.
Yeah, well,
the off coverage
just depends. Washington State, he was in press exclusively,
sure,
and then he goes up against Notre Dame and he's off exclusively.
Yeah, exactly.
But even when he was playing off, I saw there was good read and react. I thought he could plant and drive. I think he's really patient. I think he's disciplined. Especially even as the play breaks down when it's really tough to kind of freelance and you're trying to stay in somebody's hip pocket. I thought he did a pretty good job of it. The athletic testing, I think, shows up, and to me, it's willing in the run game.
Yeah.
There's some stuff. The stuff I didn't like. There's not a lot of ball production. It stays in his pedal too long, it feels like at times. Tends to get off balance. And he doesn't totally seem comfortable flipping his hips and going towards the middle of the field. He grabs when people cut inside.
Yeah.
And that's a little odd to me because he was a 6'8", 1-3 cone. He doesn't seem like a stiff guy. But it almost seems like he doesn't trust his ability to flip and turn and get back to the middle of the field.
I think Bobby's got this guy nailed. I think he did a pretty nice.
I thought that was a hell of a first scouting report.
I think he did a great
I'm ready to draft this guy in the 3rd round based on what you said.
This guy.
That's where I have him as the 3rd.
This guy will play as your field corner, though. In the field. And I mean, field corner, you have what's called a boundary corner in college and then a field corner. So he takes a lot of the, the open space and stuff that he has to do. Bobby's right about the coverage stuff. You watch him in the Notre Dame game, and you always see him driving from depth, I think is something there. But he could, he's got the length and he's got the quickness. I think he can turn, and I think he can stay on the same. He could stay with when receivers try and carry him. He's with them. He's not. You don't see a lot of separation in his game. The thing that I tend to watch with the Notre Dame game that bothered me a little bit is he floats. And so you wonder. Okay, do you have to put your thumb on him and say scheme specific? You have to play here. You have to play press. So, sometimes you see these corners that are like, they look good. They're kind of like, I'm really not sure what's going on here. Okay, I'm going to go make a play. And I'd see a little floating to his game. But the length and the way, the quickness and the speed, but the tackling. I mean, you see a guy that lunges a little bit, as far as a tackle. But I could see why people. I mean, there's people not really. Maybe you got tired doing this player, like Zerline and Dane and those guys. Bobby might be right about his.
Calling him out.
I think so.
They
because
missed somebody.
They might have, because to me, this guy's got that ability when you talk about the length and the speed. But I need to find out how well he takes coaching as far as playing these schemes.
And he's a guy who 4 position coaches in 4 years.
Yeah.
He didn't get a lot of stability.
Maybe that's why he floats.
But he's an interesting guy. He listens to jazz music. He meditates. He's a black belt in Taekwondo. Like he's
second degree.
Yeah,
right?
and his dad's an 8th degree. His dad teaches.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Okay.
I mean, he's a Renaissance man.
Good for him. Okay.
Good player. That's the type of guy that we talk about Dan Quinn getting the most out of. I'd love to see Dan Quinn work with him and Joe Witt.
Sometimes we do, guys, and I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. And sometimes I'm like, I'm in. And DeMarco Jackson's definitely one of those, and I'll add him to the list too.
When the name gets called, at least you'll know.
Well, not only will I know, I'll be excited. I'll be like, oh, that's the jazz guy.
Yeah. Cool. Karate jazz.
Kyran Johnson. We need to talk about a Jayhawk. Cowboys aren't afraid to talk about a Jayhawk. Kyran Johnson, linebacker out of Kansas.
Positives for me are all, the athleticism's great. He's about 6 flat, 231, but I mean, he's a 4.4 speed guy.
Yeah.
His vertical's 39.5. He was a Dallas State participant. I heard Bones Fossil was really on top of him, met his family. They were interested in him, but the stuff that sticks out with me, the athleticism, the motor is always hot. He's tough because he's undersized and he's getting bullied by guys that are 80 pounds heavier than him, and he's still in the fourth quarter, in full pursuit and never gives up on the play. While the athleticism is good, I don't know that I saw 4.4 or high 4.3 speed always on tape. Like even when he was out, kind of freelancing. He had a sack against Oklahoma as a rushing linebacker up the A gap where you really saw the burst and the close. But this is a guy he's going to play linebacker at the next level. Special teams player who's going to be brought along to learn the will at the NFL level. That's where I've heard most teams have him is at the will, but some teams still view him as kind of a pass rushing Sam, but definitely a linebacker at the next level.
Man, Bobby Ginn's he's got his fastball working on the block here. I mean, it is when you watch him pass rush, I mean, I don't think it's all about technique. I think it's just about his desire and his will to get past that guy. You watch the Texas game. I mean, they don't block him. I mean, he is dipping. Again, you're thinking like, oh, well, maybe Texas has some offensive linemen that can block. Well, they couldn't block him. West Virginia, there were teams that had trouble blocking this guy, and I couldn't believe that sometimes they just don't block him at all. And you see him, but you go back, and I was kind of curious, like he was on the Senior Bowl stuff too. And there was a time where he was able to like he's going against Penning, and he's like underneath him, walking him back to the quarterback.
Like to hear that.
So, I'm kind of like going, well, man, this guy's got some toughness to him as well. So I kind of feel like I love the way he attacks the ball. I love the speed. I love how he's closing, how fast he closes. Those Kansas kids, and you brought it up, Bobby, a lot of times they're out of games. They're out of games. And if you're still, and I remember this for Ron Leary when he was at Memphis. They were a bad team, and like they're down 45 to Mississippi State, and he's still kicking that guy's ass across from him. And that's the kind of thing I think you get a little bit with Johnson here, that he just keeps playing hard.
Kyran Johnson was at Dallas Day because he is from Arlington. He went to Lamar High School, which is
Vikings
across the highway from AT&T. You can probably see.
We had
it
him up
from
there
their
at the
stadium.
Fan. He came in the studio.
Is that right?
He was the most dynamic interview we had. He is we had to dump him a couple times. He got a little. He got a little loose with it.
All right, he's cool.
But he
with
was
me.
fun. He's great.
All right, we're batting 2 for 2 here.
Yeah,
I mean, I pick guys for a reason.
No, these are like day 3 guys.
But
maybe
let's
our
go.
other guy was maybe a day 2.
All right, we're looking for, if it doesn't work out with Kenyan Green or somebody else, we're looking for guard help on day 3. What about Andrew Stuber out of Michigan?
Yeah, this is definitely a guard. He played right tackle at Michigan, but he's going to have to be a guard in the NFL. So he only had 18 reps at his pro day, which for 6'7", 323.
That's a Michigan tradition.
Yeah, 34-inch arms. 18 reps at his pro day. But I think the tape showed he plays with more power than that. I don't think he looks weak necessarily in run blocking. Particularly his lower body, I think, is really powerful. I think he knows how to use his size. He gets movement in the run game. The problem at tackle, I mean, heavy feet, kick slide was kind of sloppy at times. I felt like getting into his pass sets was lumbering. Felt like the athletes and the technicians who rush the passer at the next level would have a field day if he was out on an island against them. So definitely a guard. Speed's a problem for him, but let him wrestle with the big boys on the interior. I wouldn't hate it in the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah, I watched him against Ohio State and Georgia, and Georgia's always the litmus test for me.
I'm going to say,
if you're finding a way to block Georgia,
if they played Georgia or Bama, that's the tape I want to watch.
You're kind of like, you watch him, and Bobby's got him again with about the foot athlete stuff. They ask him to pull though, and like sometimes they just straight pull, and sometimes they do this weird technique at Michigan where they slide parallel to the line and then get around the corner. So he has to almost like, it's like he's doing a dance move, like staying square and then, then getting up on the blocker and stuff like that. I kind of thought he had adequate body control, doing that, and just, in this pass protection as well. You didn't see him get fooled. There were teams Georgia was trying to do stuff to him, and he was able to sort all that stuff out. So, I think that this guy, when you start talking about a guy at 6'7", 325 pounds, and you got to worry about guys not doing a lot of reps if they're really long armed and they're tall, because it's hard to drive that bar from your chest all the way to the point where everybody's going, okay, good rep, like that. Hey, sometimes you could cheat those reps and get a lot more. But I'll say this, though. I felt like, though, that this guy wasn't just a bum. I mean, there was, he's got something to his game. But, again, it's going to be, it's more about the power than it is anything else.
How about Austin Allen, the tight end?
This guy's a freak.
I like Nebraska. Good, like the most deceiving 3-9 record in college football history.
This guy's a 6'8" tight end.
Good players on
Poor
this
man's
team.
Jelani Woods.
I mean, this is one of the weirdest drafts. I mean, weird in a kind of like, whoa kind of way. All these tight ends are damn 6'7" or 6'8". I mean, they're all huge. I mean, as far as length.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this guy play against Ohio State, Minnesota. And here we are, another one of those 6'7", 6'8" tight ends. I was amazed how open this guy got. For as tall as he is, you figure, like, come on, somebody, like, he would be like, oh, cover the tall guy, But they don't. He's got a really, they line him up in line, which is next to the tackle. They line him up flex. They put him out wide. He kind of has a feel for how to kind of get lost and then be in the open, and the quarterback, Martinez, finds a way to get him the ball. So I was like, I think he's one of these guys when you watch, he kills defenses with this delay, boom, I'm out in the fly, and then he gets the ball and goes, that kind of thing. So, I saw a guy that when you watch him run block a little bit, he did manage to bend his knees, and you worry about that for a really, really tall guy. So, like that, I think that when you start talking about the length as a weapon in the red zone, he appears to be very quarterback friendly the way he plays and the way he catches the ball, because their quarterbacks are awful, And so, but he does a nice job of catching the ball.
Do you have a guess as to why there are so many 6'8" monsters?
I have no idea. But think about this.
Corn-fed.
Just guys that used to play tackle? I don't know.
The ones I've seen. Austin Allen's 6'8". Okay.
Woods is 6'7".
Yeah, okay. I'm just kind of going down my list here. They're all Kohler's 6'7".
Isn't Cole Turner pretty big?
Cole Turner's 6'7". You're absolutely right about that. So there's
monsters.
There's these all these tight ends are all 6'7". You mentioned Woods. Yeah, they're all 6'7" and better.
What did you have, Bobby?
I think Brian's gotten pretty much right. I'll say the thing that really stood out to me, though, was he shows a real ability to make these catches in traffic.
Yeah.
I don't see anything that suggests he wouldn't be able to translate that part of his game to the NFL. So blocking tight end with reliable hands, I think he does find a soft spot in the zone. He's not going to ever be a seam guy or anything like that. And I don't think he's ever going to be the guy on a team, but he has the potential to contribute for a 2 tight end offense. I think that's kind of his ceiling. Like to see him put on a little more mass. He's already put on 40 pounds apparently since he got to Nebraska. Mm-hmm. But a little more mass if he's going to be in line blocking.
It's amazing how he catches the ball, though. It's seriously.
Hands are good.
Real good.
The highlight that they showed on the TV, God, impressive body control for being...
That's what I'm saying.
Damn near 6'9".
These guys, it's hard. Nice. It's hard for these defensive backs and linebackers to take these 6'7", the Kohlers and you meant Turner, the guys like that, and then Allen. because you're trying to defend them and they're linked. They're catching balls away from their body, and you're trying to jump there and get to the ball, and you can't get there. These guys are weapons, and, they're all kind of in that little pocket together. Probably not a first-round guy, whether you like McBride. Maybe he's your first-round guy. I don't know. He's probably a second-round guy with me.
I don't think there will be a tight end draft.
No, I don't.
In the
Maybe
first round.
not.
I don't.
Not at all.
They're taking a tight end.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
One of these guys.
Good. To quote Brian Broaddus, just get ready. I'm just telling you that now. I try to pick these names a day or two ahead of time to give you all time to watch them. So I picked this name and I was like, oh yeah, this. I've heard some buzz about this guy. He seems pretty good. And then yesterday, Garofalo and Rappaport on NFL Network basically said that he's like a Debo replacement. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm on the right track. So tell me about Velus Jones. Velus, thank you. Jones Jr. That's why it's called Tell Me More for a reason. Velus Jones Jr. out of Tennessee.
So I still think there's a lot of projection with this guy because it's a little bit like the Baylor receivers or like the Corey Coleman because they didn't ask him to run a lot of advanced routes. His route tree was really limited. Yeah. But he's a return specialist who started at USC, transferred to Tennessee. Like I said, limited route tree. Senior Bowl was really big for him with NFL teams, the folks that I've talked to, because, again, a little limited. They got a chance to really see him in some of these one-on-ones with DBs, and I think he really impressed them. He showed, an ability to win at the line of scrimmage with his releases and be a good route runner. He lined up mostly in the slot at Tennessee, but, he did take some reps outside, usually in bunch formations where he's taking smoke routes or he's up there blocking. He's willing to block. He's not always great at it, but he's willing to get out there front and block there. Like we said, return specialist who 15 yards per return at punts last year. Only took one carry this year, but definitely could be a jet sweep type of guy. Doesn't necessarily have the moves to make guys miss in space, I don't feel like, but he's got great straight line speed, good contact balance. He doesn't go down easy, picks up extra yards.
I'll tell you what, man. This guy was fun to watch. I'm glad you picked him because I was going through Dane's top 300, and I'm like, God, I didn't see this guy. And then all of a sudden, boom, you put him on the list.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, thank you for doing that. This guy's a running back playing wide receiver, I think. Okay. He's 6 foot. He's 204 pounds.
That build is very running backy.
And he's got that build, but he's physically impressive the way he's just like, you watch him in games, he just blows through tacklers. And the lower body power, the drive, I thought he played with balance, the body control. He could be a difficult guy to knock off his feet. I felt like he had rare feel and vision to see the field because there'll be times where he's carrying the ball and he will make a cut just at the right time. It's like, oh, he's about to get tackled. Boom, he's over here. So, there's a lot to be about this guy that you can like. Bobby's right, the slot stuff, but you see him executing a lot of different routes in order to get open out of that, and he is a burner up the field. When he gets a step, he's gone. And there again, another program with shaky quarterback play, and he makes a lot of plays.
Guarantano sailed like 3-4 throws on him that I saw on the tape.
Crazy. It's crazy some of the stuff that goes on.
But
they played a really fast offense. So as you're watching highlights, he's going to get up and he's going to hand the ball to the official. Watch these. There we go. Find the official. Give him the ball. Boom. Now we're going to run a play. That's kind of what he does. They ran I think it was it might have been the Purdue game, Alabama game I was watching, where they put him in the slot and they exchange the routes, and he's up the field before Purdue even adjust or Alabama even adjusts.
4.31 speed.
Yeah, exactly. This guy's
this sounds to me like
watch him. If you're able to see this, watch. This is a punt return. This is against Ole Miss.
We're just narrating highlights for those of y'all
he's
listening
just kind of
right
boom,
now.
and they were down. They were down 7 with 30 seconds left in the game when that thing happened right there.
Now he's Terrence Newman too, though.
Yeah,
he's going to be 25 as a rookie.
I don't care.
I'm just saying he is going to be 25.
Day 3 pick.
But see, that's what I'm saying though. Terrence Newman. Everybody told us that when we drafted him, and he played 27 years in the league.
Yeah.
So, do you have a grade on him, Brian?
Yeah, I have him.
Bobby, for
I have him in the 5th round.
I think a lot of people have talked about him in like 6, 7. I think that's been the chatter about him. What I've heard from teams, I think he goes higher. I think he goes early day 3.
Yeah. So this is just me spitballing here, but I'm imagining you draft this guy probably not to step into the starting lineup, but he could take over return duties from CD. And you kind of find a role for him there, and
he's going to be kind of a cocky guy, USC guy, right? Is that we
started
said
at USC.
Yeah, there you go. Please, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Your animation on the last two has really sold me. Like you perked up for Jones and
I'm glad.
Allen.
This was one against
that was
Kentucky.
it.
That was the exchange. I thought it was. I knew I'd seen him.
He's got some jets.
He blew that exchange against South Carolina.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. This guy has got the ability to he can make it happen. And Dane had him. I think Dane had him as one of those guys. I couldn't get to every single guy. I got to 190 guys.
We have day jobs.
Yeah,
Dane. This is Dane's job.
Well, but you look at Dane. Dane had him, I believe, in the top 200 on his board. You know what I'm saying? I mean, more maybe in the top 100.
So really, what I'm hearing is I shouldn't be surprised to hear this guy's name even earlier than maybe what y'all are talking
fourth.
about.
I wouldn't be surprised if you heard him in the fourth. I might be a little surprised if you heard him in third, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got called in the fourth.
Yeah,
good to know.
Yeah, Dane had him as player 182 on his board out of 300.
This collectively, like I said, I love DeMarco Jackson. There's a couple other guys we've talked about, but this might be the most overall exciting group we've done, which is a great way to end it.
Yeah.
Bobby, congrats. You didn't screw up.
Thanks, man.
I thought you were okay.
I even got names right that you messed up.
Whatever.
So,
It's called Tell Me More.
This will be good, you guys. We'll get a whole week of just ruining Dave's on-air life. You guys can join me in it.
You don't think that that's been happening this entire time? We were working with Kavanaugh.
I think it's getting amped up for you.
Oh,
you
God.
know I bring it to another level.
I already struggle to keep this thing on the rails, man. Speaking of which, we're over time. When you hear us again, we'll
read Dave's mailbag that he had to type before the show.
Yeah, go read my mailbag. DallasCowboys.com. You know where we are. We'll be back with a mock draft on Tuesday.
There you go.
We're gonna try to do all 9 picks. With the way that y'all get long-winded, I don't know how realistic that is.
We'll move it along.
But we'll have a mock draft for you Tuesday, and then a week from today, it's the draft, man. So, thanks for listening. We'll be back next time.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!